for a second. Or
Okay,
my,
yeah.
okay.
Your video. Okay, that's fine. So Linda, welcome. We don't know each other, and I'm super excited that you're here. Did you see the link through the Women's Small Business Support Group?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Because I also have a Facebook group, and I've been that's where I kind of put the event in. And so I wasn't sure which group. And then I'm like, I don't recognize the name. So welcome. I'm so excited to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
So my name is Karen. I have been doing business coaching and consulting for about 20 years.
Oh.
And I kind of take that holistic approach. I really believe that there's this mind, body, spirit element to everything we do. And when we are going after our goals, we'll be successful and it'll be sustainable when we make decisions that are in alignment with all of those bodies. And if not, we're going to keep coming back and revisiting until we make those right decisions. So everything I do revolves around making sure that I meet you where you're at from a whole person, not just about your business. So, and that's part of why time management is so important and why I wanted to make sure normally I have a host, like a co-host that comes in and they teach kind of their expert. But this month we were going to do proposals and she had a change of plans. And so I'm like, I'll fill in myself. That's fine. We'll come up with a new topic. It's all good. So that's kind of who I am. Why don't we take just a few minutes and Linda, introduce yourself, tell us kind of about who you are, what your business is, and we know it's time management, but what would you like to get out of this workshop?
Okay, so I'm Linda Taylor. I'm from Florida. Everybody calls me Lynn, so call me Lynn. I'm 68. I have a business that's 2 years old. I just retired. I've been working basically 2 jobs for the past 2 years. My home is where I do my business, and it's totally disorganized because I've had 2 jobs for the past 2 years, trying to make it go. I did fairly well last year, but I didn't really have time to promote it. And that's something that I want is to make a plan so that I can promote myself online, in person, make those goals, because I sit and I swim in the idea, if you know what I mean. It says, well, I got to do this. How do I do that? I don't know how to do that. So yeah, but I need a plan because I think about it more than I do anything about it. And if I just set myself goals, then maybe it would get somewhere. I have a score. You know what score is?
Yeah.
A score mentor who's introducing me to a guy that is, he's another score mentor that is, I make jewelry, by the way. He markets artists and jewelers.
Okay.
All in my whole area, and he's going to give me pointers and ins, introductions and stuff like that. I have to be ready for him in a month. And honestly, okay. I just retired and my house is a mess. That's all I can keep thinking of.
Well, you're not alone. I have 2 teenagers, so I get
it. That's 2 jobs. That's 3 jobs.
Yes. And sometimes I include my husband as one of those.
Yeah.
So, well, welcome. We're excited. So today we will be looking at we're going to actually walk through the exercise of doing a time audit. Normally a time audit is done over the course of a week, but we're going to kind of do a shortened version today together so we can kind of look at it and analyze it. Okay. So Nicole, why don't you take a few minutes and share with us who you are and what you do and what you'd like to get out of today.
My name's Nicole. I'm a boy mom of 5, and I have 2 grandchildren. I also babysit and homeschool. I'm a virtual assistant for mompreneurs. So I need all of the time management tips, and my house is a wreck too. And I've been working with Karen. We've known each other about a year now, and we've been working for a few months together, and she's been so helpful for me.
Thank you. Welcome. So what do you want to get out of today, Nicole?
I want to stop taking my pockets of time and just trying to throw tasks in. I want to have a plan for my days better than I do now.
Okay, perfect. So, so inside the group, I've done different trainings on different types of time management tools, right? Because when we think of time management, we think of, we have 24 hours in a day. What are we going to do with it? And we slice it up, and we end up being busy, not productive. Right. And our goal really is we want to be productive with all of our time. And sometimes that productivity looks like sitting and just having a cup of tea or coffee and just not doing anything. Right. Like kind of that resting, like sitting in a place of rest is actually productive for us, right? Quiets our brain, allows us to refocus. So understanding what we're doing with our time becomes really important. So, one of the things that when we are going to walk through the time audit is you'll start to understand what tasks are actually helping you move you towards the goal that you're seeking to achieve, and what tasks aren't. And then you get to look at those and say, oh, those aren't really top priority. So why am I doing that? Right. So some of the tips and tricks people will talk about is time blocking. We've done a training on the Eisenhower Matrix, which is important versus unimportant. There is one, which I think it's a really cute, it's a hard name to pronounce, but it's based off of a tomato because they use a tomato as that tomato timer, but it's the Pomodoro Technique. And it's about time management. And it's working 25 minutes, taking a 5-minute break, working 25 minutes, taking a 5-minute break. And you do that 4 times. And then you take a bigger break. But it's about kind of allowing yourself to like super focus on something and then relaxing and not doing anything for 5 minutes, and then super focusing and then relaxing. And so not every technique is going to be working or helpful for everybody. So it's about trial and error. You can try the time blocking. You can try the Eisenhower Matrix. You can try the Pomodoro technique or the 80-20 technique, and then you'll realize which one really works for you. But you're also going to want to know, oh, this works today because this is how I'm feeling today. I'm going to try it another day and it's not going to work very well because I am not in that state of mind, right? Or I have other distractions, so I need to use a different technique. So having 3 or 4 different time management tools in your pocket that you can say, this is not working today for me. I need to switch gears. I need to switch and do something different. Then you have that available. So for either of you guys, what have you tried from a time management perspective? Like what techniques have you tried or haven't you tried?
I've tried time blocking, but I don't necessarily have a plan. I just like look at my list. I think I'll do that. And then I don't get the important things done.
That sounds familiar. Like, what are we going to do today? Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, Linda, you said you just retired. Was that like, and I'm going to use the word normal, and was it a normal kind of like a 9-to-5 time frame position, or was it like like a night shift, early shift, or a shift work position?
It was 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Some overtime. I mean, there was crazy overtime sometimes, and then sometimes not.
Okay.
Bunch of daytime. Yeah.
Okay. So for you, shifting that gear of having those hours in the middle of the day now available to do the things that you were pushing out either early in the morning or late at night. Yeah.
Well, yeah, what I would do is I would get up like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd work on my jewelry business until 7. I'd get ready and rush to work, and then I'd work, and then I'd shop if I had to, or empty the cat boxes or whatever. I'd eat something, shower, go to bed, do it all over again. And now I don't have that drop. It's the hardest thing. And you don't think that it's going to be, but it's the hardest thing, not being driven. I'm so used to being driven by necessary things. And that's why my house is a wreck, is because I was only skimming, this has to be done. But everything else kind of got pushed to the side,
Yeah.
But it was worth doing it. I can't say that it wasn't. I had to start a business, so that's a big deal. I got so much experience in business. I knew how to do it, but it takes time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and now I wake up I'm staying up till like midnight, waking up at 7. It's like, oh my God, I don't know. And my whole clock is off, and I don't have anything driving me. That's the big deal. And I got to get past that. I got to have a routine, I am task driven. So, yeah, I have to say, tomorrow I'm going to do this. If I say it the night before, I can wake up in the morning and do it. But then managing my time with other things is tough for me.
Right. So now, do either of you find that when you have to be accountable to an independent party, so somebody that is not yourself or your family member, it's a more of a driving factor in you being productive and focusing on the tasks at hand?
Say it again. If I'm not driven by somebody else, I'm better at getting stuff done. I would call it not being interrupted by somebody else, and then I get stuff done. Yeah. How about you? I bet you know that. Yeah. How about you?
Yes. So definitely, if I have to be accountable to somebody, then I'm more apt to be like, I'm just going to get it done. I'm going to do it. I am a self-starter though, and I think and that's when my husband and I, that's the big difference is, he has to be accountable to somebody else. He's like, I don't know if I could ever work from home or work for myself, because he's like, I would just get up because I like to sleep. And then I'd at the end of the day, I would have nothing done. Right. So he is driven. He is more productive when he's accountable to somebody else. So I can be that, but I also am really hard on myself. So I look at things, I'm like going, Karen, you're slacking, get that done. Right. And get up off your butt and go do it. So being in business for yourself, that self-starter is that initiator, right? That's where, so when we start looking at that from a time management perspective, what is your motivator to get something done in a timely manner when nobody else, and this sounds rude, but it's not, when nobody else cares if you get it done or not?
What's my motivator is wanting to succeed in it. I have a creative business. I have to allot time to create. I have to, otherwise I don't have a product, So there's that. And then there's the book work. The book work I'm not so happy about. I'm an artist, I create. So yeah, I don't have any problem getting started in my studio. But when I sit here at my office is my dining room table. And I sit here and I say, okay, gotta do that. I have made big strides in that though, because now I've got all of my inventory logged on, and I've got all of my sales for the past 2 years logged on, not just in this little notebook. That's my little Bible. Every time I make something, I take pictures, I write it down. Now it's all in the computer and I can see what I've got. So I have to be excited about it when it comes to anything. I have to want it. And on my own, I don't have the same drive you do. I need to do that. A lot of it is I don't know what I need to do first. There's a lot to do, but putting it in order is like, well, prioritizing. I'd rather be in the studio, let somebody else deal with all that. I've done office work for 40 years, 45 years. I don't really want to do it anymore.
Right. Yes. Well, so that's where something like the Eisenhower Matrix, which is basically, and I'll send you guys a copy of it as well for you guys to have, but it's basically like you cut the paper in 4 quadrants, and it's, the first quadrant is what's really important and urgent. And then it's what's urgent, but not important, what's not important, not urgent, what's important and urgent, right? So the 4 quadrants. And so you start looking at your tasks and you put them in each quadrant based on the level of importance and how urgent they are. And then based on that information, then you go, okay, this is what I have to get done today. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like this quadrant that's urgent and important, there's no excuses. It has to get done today. And then you move on to, one of the other quadrants, right? So it kind of flows in order. So the quadrant that has all the tasks that are unimportant and not urgent are things like when we get lost in Facebook or, you know, Instagram reels and you're scrolling, right? So those are your time wasters, and you want to be able to identify when are you kind of setting time aside to do those time wasters or not, or do you get sucked into them just by chance? And then the quadrant that is non-urgent but important, that's where you build your business, right? Those are the tasks that they don't have to be done today, but they've got to get done because they're important. And so if you are able to get everything done in that first quadrant, that is the urgent and important, then you want to move on to the important but not urgent, because that's where you build your business. That's where all of the development happens. So for you, that's where all your creative pieces are going to be. But it's also what's going to be your marketing pieces, right? How you're going to spend time marketing. And so now I know, Lynn, you were talking about you have a SCORE mentor. Have they talked to you about what your, you know, kind of goal setting? Have they talked to you about, you know, what they like, have they coached you at all on your business?
Yes, yes, they've given me, it's got an acronym, I think it's BOM. We're doing a new one now that I've had a big life change. And before the new SCORE mentor comes in, because my whole strategy for sales has changed. I was doing markets and word of mouth. The word of mouth started dwindling because the company changed. They downsized terribly. A lot of my customers are scattered to the wind, but I'd see them every day and they'd say, "Oh, what do you got?" You know, a lot of my sales came from that, and then that changed. So I was doing markets, and markets is hard for me because I'm a widow. You know, I don't have somebody to go with me. I've got a girlfriend, but she's got back trouble, you know, the whole tent and the tables and all that.
Right.
I wanted to move into, because I live in Florida, you know, I mean, there's gift shop on every corner, and I should be able to get some of those people to sell my stuff for me. You know, I mean, put it in their store.
Yeah, like have a little table or something. Okay. Yeah. So that's going to be like understanding what that marketing strategy is going to be important for you to be able to kind of fill in those quadrants and with what you're doing and how you're doing it. Right. So, and the 80-20 rule is basically, it tells you that 80% of all your productivity is going to come from 20% of your time. So, so when you start thinking about where you spend your time, then guess what? Are you spending on stuff that's going to be productive or non-productive? Is it moving you towards the goal, or is it keeping you stagnant? And when we talk about this, there's going to be days where you're just going to be like not all there, right? Like, so my 12-year-old was homesick, was quite sick yesterday. She's homesick today. But she's much better. So my time yesterday looked completely different because my priorities immediately changed. So when we're looking at the time audit, we're looking at how we spend our time, where's our productivity. We're also making sure that we allow ourselves a little bit of grace for those days that are going to just knock us off our feet. And that doesn't have to mean that it's about us. It could be somebody else, right? It could be a relative. It could be for any reason. And so you want to make sure that when those happen, those are the days that you kind of go, okay, so my day's completely different now. All I'm going to focus on is that one quadrant. Nothing else matters today. And in that quadrant, is it absolutely that it has to get done today, or is it something that I can push off to tomorrow without repercussions, right? So when you're starting to look at that prioritization, because that's how you're going to prioritize things to what quadrant they go in, that you can then say, okay, that can wait till tomorrow. I'm okay with that waiting till tomorrow.
So do you keep a list, a physical list for yourself?
Yeah. So I have basically it's like a notepad, like a notebook, and I write in all the things that I'm going to be working on. And sometimes it's sectioned out, right? And then it's like, if I don't get it done, it goes on the next day. And yep. And then it's like, then I cross it off if I get it done. And if I don't get it at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, what did I not get done? So it's kind of like a checklist. And so, and this is something actually Nicole and I, we were working on last week, was putting together, what does your daily checklist look like? And with that, and it's everything, right? Grocery shopping, personal, business stuff. And then at the end of the day, you can look back and go, I got all this stuff done. I got everything done that I need to get done.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel confident going into the next day, because then you can wake up and go, now I have a plan or a beginning point, right? Because you've likely heard the saying, right? Planning, right? Failing to plan is planning to fail. And you don't have to plan every moment of your day out, but what you do need to do is you need to plan, what are my priorities today? And that's not always all business, right? Personal care is super important, right? So what does that look like? How does that look like on your priority list? So for me, that's my first thing I do is my self-care, right? I go to the gym first thing every morning. And then I come home and I'm getting my kids up and off to school while I'm doing whatever work I need to do while they're old enough to kind of get themselves. My son's starting to drive, so I have to drive. He drives me there, but I drive the car home kind of deal. So, right. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this while they're doing whatever they're doing. And then when I come home, then it's my time to actually get into work. Right. So, but what does that look like with other things? Right. What am I going to get done in that time frame that's going to make me feel productive? That when I come back after dropping my son off and my daughter off at school, that I can say, all right, now. And is it a mix of different methods, right? Is it like in the morning, I'm going to time block, I'm going to block off an hour to work on my social media marketing. I'm going to block off 15 minutes to answer emails. I'm going to block off an hour to work on my jewelry making or content creation, whatever that might look like, right? And then it's like, okay, so then in the afternoon, I'm going to set aside some time and I'm going to take that, the point where I'm like, I'm going to do 25 minutes here and then I'm going to take a break and then I'm going to focus 15 minutes there and then take a break. Right. So having the techniques, you can switch things up. It's not always the same. So I did send you guys a PDF in the chat. Are you able to download that?
Yeah.
Now let me make sure. I'm pretty sure I sent you the right one. Yeah. So it should be a PDF form that you can fill out. And this is a basic timesheet where we're going to look at, you can pick a day in the last week. It doesn't have to be yesterday. It can be any day you want. And I want you to take kind of the next 5 minutes or so, and I want you to fill in, like, what did you do at what point in that day? So you're going to fill in, basically, you're not going to fill in the purpose column. You're going to start time. So like from 8 to 9, I started at 8 o'clock and I did this task and I finished at this time. And it doesn't have to be exact. You can just put in kind of what you did and approximate time starts for now. But when you're looking to do a full time audit for yourself, you're going to want to keep this sheet where you actually write in. Did you get it?
I got it, but I hit tab and it filled everything with 8 a.m. Why did it do that? I'm gonna start over.
It's okay.
Did
you get it?
What happened there? Now it's asking me to sign for doing it.
And I'll also give you guys the PDF that is not the form, so you can print that one out as well.
I gotta try that again. I started typing and the whole thing filled with names. I don't know if I bothered with it. I've just been doing it all the time.
Let's see.
I don't know why. I just wanted to type in organize and it's to put 8 o'clock on every single.
Think if I did. Oh, shut that. Copy.
Something like that stuff. We'll just put organized studio on every cell. What am I doing?
When you type in it and you tab, it copies it to the whole form.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I just sent you guys a blank one.
Okay.
See, this is what happens when you're trying to do it while, anyway, excuses about.
I don't know if it's from
Yeah,
until
so-
I switch a cell. That's weird.
That, so I know exactly what happened because I was copy and pasting and the form blew up on me. And so I basically just copied the form and pasted into in a new document and it just copied all the cells the same. So that's fine. Okay. I will redo the form and I'll resend it to you, but I just sent you a blank version, which is not a form.
There's my house.
And then I will redo the form and get that sent to you guys. But so you get
I don't remember what I did yesterday. So I started my morning because I woke up earlier and it was actually more of a productive day. So
okay.
it helped to see, I don't usually do any type of chores in the morning, but it really worked out that I did today and it fit in between my schedule.
Okay. And so, and that's one of the things, like when you're doing the time on it and you're putting all everything you do down, you start to realize, oh, maybe I'm more of a morning person than I thought I was, or maybe I'm more of an evening person than I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you start to understand, just like people have different learning styles, we know as when there's, you think of the 4 different learning styles, there's also the times that we learn best at.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for work. It's same for, when we work best. So if your whatever type of learner, but you learn best first thing in the morning, like early morning from 6 to 10, then chances are that's going to be when you're going to be most productive.
Mm-hmm.
As well. Or if you are an afternoon learner, like you learn best after lunch, then that's when you'll be most productive.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be an alignment with that as well. So if you kind of know when you learn best, it'll directly align. How are you making out, Linda? Did you get the new document?
Do you know what it is? And now where is the meeting? I'm looking for the meeting. I don't know why. I don't seem to be find out Zoom anymore. What the heck? It's like it's signing out of Zoom. There it is. Okay. Well, my mouse went away. I don't know why. I just don't have a mouse anymore. I don't know why. But I'll waste your time if I try to do it.
No, you're good. You're fine. You're good.
I'm having this. Here we go. 12:47. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. You're all good.
Without the blank form.
Yeah. So I will send you guys both a new form that's fillable, that will not pre-populate everything that you type in the first one. But I did send you guys the blank form that is not like the blank sheet that is not a form as well. So you guys, if you want to print that off and handwrite it in instead of typing in the form, you can do that too.
Okay.
So just using the page as an example, let's just look at yesterday. Where did you spend most of your time? Like, what was the most productive you were? Like, at what time of day?
Mine seems to be like mid-afternoon,
Okay.
1-ish to 4.
Okay.
I can just sit down and focus on what I'm doing.
Okay. Lynn, what time of day do you think you're most productive?
The mornings.
The mornings?
Gosh, yeah. I
Yeah.
have to be in myself. I got 2 jobs, you know.
Yeah.
I still have
Okay.
those habits, but yeah, most productive in the morning.
Okay. So when you know you're most productive at the morning or in the afternoon, then when you're looking at those quadrants on the Eisenhower Matrix, you're going to want to do that top number 1 quadrant tasks. And Lynn, you mentioned, you know, like kind of the admin work for you is you just don't really want to do it anymore. My recommendation is you're going to want to do that when you're in the most productive time period, and you want to do it first. Get it done, get it off, right? So, because if not, then it's going to be like, oh, I got to still do that. I got to still do that, right? So that would be my recommendation. So that time period is when you want to do what's really important, what's urgent, and then the things that you really don't like to do. So, because, you know, I have a creative brain as well, and just like you, and I can go down that rabbit hole. I can start a project and I can just kind of go, ooh, and everything else stops.
That's me.
Yeah. So I have to be very aware of that, right? Like I have to be aware that I'm starting to get sucked into the rabbit hole of something that it may feel productive and it may be long-term supporting a goal, but it won't be supporting the goal that's now and current. Yeah.
I'm not at the imminent one. But only because I put them off to the next minute.
Yes.
I got a kitty joining me here.
So then, oh, hi, kitty cat.
My Rosabella.
Aw.
She gets jealous when she hears people talking. She's got to sit on me. Okay.
So do you just have 1 cat then?
I have 2.
Oh, 2. Okay.
The other one is older. She sleeps a lot more. But this one is still kind of young.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a very similar cat, but he didn't have as much white. He kind of just had that white tie down his chest. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tuxedo cat.
Yeah. Yeah. His name was Jackson. He was awesome. So, okay. So I did just send you guys the template for the Eisenhower Matrix as well. And so it's not a form, it's just a printout.
Okay.
So, and that will explain, like, from a prioritization perspective, this is one of the tools that I really recommend for people who struggle with not being able to make the decision, right? Or we get, you know, we go into that decision paralysis because everything is like important. We can't determine what's more important than the other thing. And so then we end up just not doing anything because it's like, oh, I can't make a decision. I don't want to make a decision, right? So by being able to kind of having all your tasks put into one of these 4 quadrants, you are able to then say, right, okay, so right now, the only thing that matters is I get through that top quadrant, right? And then you want to spend, when we were talking about that, you know, the 80-20 rule, that 20% that's going to impact the 80% of your success is going to come out of that second quadrant, that non-urgent important quadrant. Those tasks are what's going to really allow your business to grow and flourish.
Okay.
So
I do a brain dump each morning, but then I kind of look at it and go, this looks fine. This looks easy. Yeah. And then the important things, you know, just kind of stay on the list day to day.
Right. So, like, have you put it into the matrix at all, Nicole?
I just did this now.
Okay.
I wrote a brain dump yesterday with most of the items still on the list. So I put them in a matrix, and now I can see I can make a plan from it.
Yeah. So what it does is it gives you the sense of empowerment that now you're back in control, right? Because when we look at our lists and we feel that it's overwhelming, we feel we have no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes like disheartening, right? It really starts to build self-doubt instead of self-confidence. So understanding what's truly important gives you that sense of confidence that I can get this stuff done and I can succeed because now I know what I need to do. Right. So Lynn, when you're talking about what you need to get done for your meeting next month with your new score mentor, this matrix is going to be really helpful because you'll be able to say, okay, what did they tell me I needed to get done? And now this is how I'm going to organize it. This is what goes where, and this is how I'm going to reevaluate.
Yeah, because he gave when I say BLM, business organization manifest or some crap like that. But it's basically what are my assets, what are my liabilities? Not, I mean, talking about in my world, not things that I have, not things that. And my suppliers, blah blah blah. What's the goal for this? How am I going to see it progress? I have to do that, and I just a couple of them I'm done with part of it. But a couple of them really are sticking me because I don't have a clue.
Right.
I don't, but I know how to get a clue, and this will really help that. Because I have to make myself do that. It's like, yeah, Liz, why don't you just tell me what I need to do next,
Well, and part of the role of a coach is not just to be the cheerleader or to bring solutions to the table for you to consider. It's also to be able to say, no, Lynn, no, stop. You're actually avoiding what you need to get done. So you need to redirect. And we kind of have to become, like that, do your work, right? And help you redirect, right? That's part of our job, is to help you redirect back to what's really important.
Mhm.
And if we don't, we're actually doing you a disservice, right? Because we're not empowering you to really succeed. And I don't care how many years of experience you have, if you're not empowering your clients to really succeed, then you're really doing them a disservice.
Mhm.
And we as coaches only succeed if you guys succeed, right? If you don't succeed, then like, how good are we in the end, right? So it's going to be really important that, who you're working with with your mentor, is that they're going to be helping you with that too. Just not saying, go do this, right?
Right.
That becomes more of a consulting position then.
Mhm. Yeah, the idea is I've been with one since the onset. I got a score mentor before I started the business, before I got LLC and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he walked me through everything and, inventory control. He was very knowledgeable about all that stuff. And it was such a wonderful help. But now since I'm changing direction, I'm meeting a new person. And honestly, right while I was working my last days at my job, my sister passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that just totally upset my apple cart. I mean, everything that I thought I knew I was going to do next just went away. But I had anxiety. I laid in bed crying for days sometimes, I'm coming to that now.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. And I know what that blew my mind.
Well, and so, and that's what we were saying before, right? Like there's going to be things out of our control that are going to happen that are just going to knock us off our feet.
Mhm.
And we just have to be able to say, it's okay. And grief it's a funny bird, it's not the same for everybody. And it doesn't act the same every day. And it shows up when you least expect it. And it shows up in ways that you would never imagine.
That's
And
right.
so, and it lasts for years. It's not like, when they talk about the 12 steps of grief or the 7 steps of grief, it's not really 7 steps and they're never in order.
Right. Right.
Well, I stayed in bed most of yesterday because of grief.
Yeah.
It just knocks me down.
Yeah.
I'm the last sibling, and that's why it's a bigger deal to me now. I don't have other siblings that I can go to and talk about it with, and my kids are grown, and I don't want to dump that on them,
Right. Yeah.
gonna talk to Tyler or something, because
Yeah.
I didn't expect yesterday.
No,
Okay.
no.
Sorry.
So that's, yeah, no. So that's where I think, to your point just a few minutes ago, right? When you said about the Eisenhower Matrix, like all of a sudden now you get to say, okay, so I need a half hour to get all this stuff done. That's really important today. And I can allow myself, I can give myself permission to be in that space of grief for the rest of the day and just honor it, right? Because you're not going to be productive the next day if you don't allow it then, right? You kind of gotta meet yourself where you're at. And some days we're not very pretty.
Yeah.
And then I don't mean in the cosmetic perspective, right? So yeah, no, and it doesn't have to, so yeah, so definitely I want to honor where you're at. And thank you for showing up today, because it means a lot to me that you're here. Yeah.
I think they wanted to clean their own time.
Yeah. So what questions do either of you guys have around time management? You have your audit that you guys can be doing for yourselves. You're going to want to do it like for a week. So that way you can kind of do an average of what you're doing. So I would, so do that for a week, and then you can always, DM me with kind of where you're at, and what you found, and we can kind of work through it. But what questions do you guys have around kind of time management, around kind of what you're working on and things like that?
I don't have a question, but I have to say, doing this matrix right now, and actually I've seen it, I watched your trainings on it, actually inputting my tasks. There are important things that were important to me.
Yeah.
And that felt really empowering to be able to put it on here.
Yeah.
Like I really want to build my WordPress blog, but it's not urgent. It's not important, but it's important to me.
Yeah.
So that was
I
nice.
have so many, I know just what you're saying. Things that are important to me.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? And so what we get to put on our priority list and what level it's at is not dictated by anybody else. We get to dictate that. And the beautiful thing is we get to change that. Like we get to say, it's important today that I get this done. And then tomorrow go, yes, that's so important today.
Yeah.
There's no way you can see. There's some tasks that are big.
Yeah.
For example, cleaning out your closet. Maybe that couldn't happen in a day.
Right.
Things you gotta do. How do you manage those kind of tasks? Because like she's talking about her blog, that's something that's probably not going to happen in a day. That's going to evolve over time. So, which blocks you put it in?
So,
it's important.
Right. So using Nicole's WordPress blog as an example, it would go in that non-urgent but important quadrant.
That's where I put it.
Yep. Because long term, that's what's going to help her grow her business. So from there, though, then it becomes what pieces do you need to get done to build the WordPress blog, right? So, and then those pieces become, there's going to be certain things like, I don't have a domain. Well, that becomes kind of important and urgent. You need to get that done before you do anything else, right? So then you start taking those milestone goals and placing them within the quadrants as well and extracting them from that top level. So it'd be the same with, Lynn, you're making jewelry. You want to start making a certain piece, right? What are the smaller things you need to do? You need to get certain
materials,
supplies and materials, right? Or it's a new technique that maybe you've never done in jewelry making before. So you need to learn the technique and refine it before you can apply it to, a piece that you might sell. So all of a sudden learning the technique becomes that important, urgent piece because it's going to drive everything else.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I feel better.
Good. And that's the big thing, right? If we can shift our perspective about how our day is going or our week or how we're perceiving our business because we feel we're more in control of what has to get done when it gets done, then that's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, this is a very good tool. And yeah, very good tool.
Mhm.
I've never heard of the Eisenhower Matrix before. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of days I work like that. I
Mhm.
work like for 30, 40 minutes and then I have to go to the bathroom and I take a little break. And then
Right.
that's when I do my scrolling and I try to limit it to 5 minutes, but I'm telling you, that's the indoor for
Yes.
that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I got out for that.
Yeah. And so that's where, like that, the time tracking technique where it's like you set a literal timer for 25 minutes and you micro focus on whatever that task is until the timer goes off. And it kind of becomes that Pavlov effect, right? It's like, oh, the dinger went. Now I get to go do whatever. Right. So yeah. Or with, my kids, I tell them to use music, set up, for this one song, I'm going to do this task. And then the next song I get to take a break. And then the next song I'm going to get back to my, my task.
The music.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. Good idea. So, I don't think you are part of my Facebook group, are you? So I'm going to drop the link in there for you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I am. I just signed up through the small business, wherever
Yeah.
you posted it in there.
Yeah.
And Karen
So,
has a different lunch and learn every month.
yeah.
I love it because it's small and everybody gets to participate.
Oh,
So let me see here. Here it is. Yeah. And then every Tuesday I do a live stream training as well. So, and it's different topics. Like this past week, we actually talked about business planning or the vision and mission and kind of what the important pieces are. And then as a free member within the women's business resource community, once a month, there is a free 1-hour small business group coaching session that you can join as well. And I want to say the next one, where's my phone? I'll look at my calendar. I think it's next Wednesday.
I can check. I have my computer open.
Okay.
It is. What would it be called?
So it's the Biz 101. So yeah, it's next
Okay,
Wednesday
so
at
the 10th.
the 10th. Yeah, at noon. So so when you go to, actually, I'll just put it in here. Lynn, that link will take you to the community's website, like the calendar of events. And so the Biz 101 is for free members. There's other meetings that happen and coaching happening for other membership levels and for my private clients in the mastermind classes. But that one happens once a month that you're more than welcome to come to. And it's via Zoom. It's kind of the same thing we're doing right now, but the agendas are driven by whoever shows up. So sometimes it might just be one person. Sometimes there might be 3 or 4. Who knows? Right. So, but it's just an opportunity for you to kind of go, this is what I'm working on right now. And I'm kind of stuck and I need help. And then as a collective, we come together and we help you move through it. So.
Cleaning this morning and I brought it in my throat.
Oh,
It's
yeah. Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
shower is what I need. I almost forgot about the thing and the travel writing them. It's one of those kind of days.
Yeah. So, okay. So you guys feel good? Was today helpful for both of you?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I will send both of you the audit form that's fillable that will auto-populate. I'll redo that. I'll get that to you likely tomorrow. But you have the one that you can print off and handwrite in if you want. And then I also sent you the Eisenhower Matrix template, the group, and then the events link. So
I actually have my plan for the afternoon now. Thank you.
awesome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. And yeah. So perfect. All right. Well, I'm super glad this was helpful for you guys. I
Thank
really enjoyed meeting you, Linda, and I can't wait to get to know you better.
Well, that's how I feel about it too. Thank you very much.
You're
Nice to meet you,
welcome.
Linda.
Have a great afternoon, you guys.
You too.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.